We know COVID ruined cinema for 2020, but have you ever wondered what movies were ruined by the virus? So here's the top 10 of 2020 movie flops affected by COVID one way or another. Before we get started, make sure you hit the subscribe button, like, and hit the notification bell so you know when my videos are uploaded. Also, follow my Instagram since I post there every day. Number 10, Soul by Pixar.
I'm Joe Gardner. Look, I'm not supposed to be here.
Must have been sudden for you.
We are starting off this list with one of the best movies of 2020. This is the only film on this list that actually was successful on its non-theater release. So why is this movie on this list? Although this movie was considered great between critics and moviegoers, the movie did have a budget of $150 million, and Disney was only able to make back $130.4 million. So just by looking at the numbers, there is a loss of revenue for Disney.
It's my job to keep track of this stuff, Jerry. I'm the accountant. I'm always counting. I'm counting right now.
Number 9, The New Mutants. In case you didn't know, this movie was in production when the Disney-Fox merger was happening, making this the last Marvel movie that would be released by Fox Studio. And it's important to state that Fox did a horrible job with Dark Phoenix the year prior.
Look what you've done. You've ruined everything.
Making fans already skeptical of this film.
Stop it!
With the final theatrical release of April 2020, any hype for this film was killed off by the pandemic. Even though COVID affected this movie, it had already been delayed 3 times prior to 2020. Release dates were April 2018 to February 2019 to August 2019 to April 2020, and then lastly released on HBO Max on August 28, 2020. The reason behind these delays were because of a lot of reshoots, difficulties on cast availability, and the Disney merger was delaying the film. This was supposed to be the first Marvel horror film, and Fox wanted to create a perfect film in their vision, but it didn't happen, making Multiverse of Madness quote-unquote the first Marvel horror film. Anyway, this movie is disconnected from the MCU, so enough about this.
I don't feel so good. Sorry.
Number 8, Tenet. Christian Nolan is known for his mind-bending film just like Inception, Interstellar, Dunkirk, and many others. And Tenet was supposed to be another film added to his iconic film line. With a rating of 69%, it didn't do a good job compared to his other films. Let's look at the details. The original release was supposed to be for July 2020. Warner Brothers were hoping for people to be ready to hit the movies during the summer of 2020, but as weeks passed by, it didn't seem it was going to happen. So they decided to release it in certain countries and states that were considered open by September of 2020. Warner Brothers, afraid to lose on potential earnings, decided to release the film on both theaters and HBO Max the same day. At theater release, Tenet only earned a mere $60 million in the US compared to this film, Interstellar, that earned a whopping $290 million domestically alone. Tenet took $200 million to produce, so you can see how this film, unfortunately, is a flop. All of the circumstances were out of Christian Nolan's control. Number 7, A Quiet Place Part 2. This was supposed to be the biggest blockbuster of early 2020. However, as we can remember, this is exactly when COVID started.
If my heart stops, then the virus is released.
The movie was pushed to a later release date of May 2021, at a time when most locations were opening up. The film did get good ratings, and when released made a tremendous $297 million worldwide at a moment when most people were still skeptical about going to the movie theaters. With a budget of about $61 million, they made a profit for this movie. Even though the franchise did good, I'm a big believer that this movie could have done way better in numbers because A Quiet Place Part 1 made over $335 million back in 2018. Number 6, Black Widow. Now this movie has to be the least important MCU film ever made. Okay, I'm not trying to be biased, but let's look at the facts that Natalia Romanoff had died in the movie Endgame, ending her story at 2019.
Let me go.
No. Please, no.
It's
Please.
As Marvel fans, we knew there was no point for this film. This was supposed to be the summer blockbuster of that year with an original release date of May 2020. However, the release date was pushed to July of 2021 with a theater and Disney Plus same day release. Of course, paying the premium access of $30. To me, this is where the franchise has a downfall. By putting the movie on Disney Plus and theaters simultaneously, this took away some profit away from the box office, costing Scarlett Johansson from losing on potential profit, maybe millions, because this case scenario was never added to her contract, which led Scarlett Johansson to sue Disney. And if you wanted to know how much that settlement was, well, we'll never find out because that information was never disclosed by either party. But you can only assume it was millions and millions of dollars. Well, that is it for today. I decided to break up the video into 2 parts because it was getting really long. And so it's 10 through 6, then 5 through 1 for part 2. And I might release another video between that time, but make sure you follow, hit the subscribe button, put that like button, and also the notification bell so you know when the next videos are uploaded. Thank you very much, and till then.